6:56 is the time. We're joined by His Worship Mayor John Tory of Toronto. John Tory, good morning.
Good morning, John.
I think I've asked you this question before, but I think it rests on a lot of people's minds these days. Do you think that we're in some kind of crisis when it comes to guns, gangs, and crimes in this town?
Well, I'll just try to repeat the words I said yesterday, which is that it's worse than it's been, and we've got to do better. I mean, so I don't like to use words like that. My job is to sort of remain calm about this, but to make sure we're taking all the actions we can to stem this kind of unacceptable tide of violence.
We're hearing of a series of raids this morning, which we're endeavoring to confirm with official police sources. Do you know of anything going on?
No, I don't get advance notice of these things, nor do I direct the police. I think a lot of people think I do in my job. But I will say this. I think we have to keep in mind the fact that the police, as was shown by the raids last week, are constantly looking to root out these thugs, these gangsters that are causing the vast majority of this violence. And they are arresting them. They are seizing guns. They're doing their job. And a lot of people, when they aren't seeing raids going on, think nothing's happening, but they're constantly working. The raids don't happen on an overnight basis where they just decide one morning to go and knock on doors. They have a lot of investigative work to do, and that is what they're doing, and they're doing a good job in very difficult circumstances.
Let me get your reaction to something the chief of police had to say yesterday when reporters talked to him outside of police headquarters.
Well, when you're living in an urban city, these things happen where we do have these surges of crime. The important thing is, as a police response, we make sure that we have a look to see if there are patterns or trends, and if there are, we try to put our resources in place ahead of time so that we can avoid things from happening.
Does the chief have the right tone there, John, or should he actually be going a bit Clint Eastwood on this?
Well, John, this is part of the challenge. In some respects, there are some journalists, there are some people who expect people like him or me to be, demonstrating a lot of outrage, and I am outraged by this. I'm shocked by it. You can't wake up in the morning and hear the stories on 1010 or anywhere else about these murders and not be very upset as a leader of the city or just as a citizen. But your job at the same time is to remain calm, to take the measures that need to be taken to try and stem this. It's not easy. There are not magic wands to wave to solve these problems. So I can tell you right now, I speak to him every day. He's very diligent on his job. He's a very experienced police officer, and his people are out there every single day trying to round up these gangsters and round up these guns. And he knows it's a big problem. I talk to him every day about it. I know it's a big problem, and we're going to do our very best to try and address it.
And I'm wondering, I know that you've been talking with the federal government, and what is it you're seeking from them, and how close are you to getting it?
Well, I'm very encouraged by their response and the province, but I'm seeking from them everything we can possibly do. There's some good ideas coming out of the woodwork. I mean, should we be saying to licensed establishments that are known to sort of harbor people that have guns on a frequent basis, you're going to lose your liquor license? Can we talk to the feds about more technology or more people that are going to man the borders where half the illegal guns come from? So I just think it's all hands on deck here, including programs for alienated kids. Because as much as people scoff at that, the fact of the matter is that, tomorrow's, gangsters are going to come from the ranks of kids who, are not led down the right path today. And I'm talking 10-year-old kids. And so we've got to get at that too. And even some of the really bad apples, that we have, there are people who are going to go to jail, John, who've done some of these terrible crimes at age 19, and they're going to get out. And so we have to sort of confront and be honest about the fact that they're going to be back among us at some point in time. And what are we going to do about that to make sure they don't just get right back at it, having been at a sort of a school for crime in prison, which is oftentimes what we allow our prisons to turn into. So this is not, this is just common sense that says you've got to deal with all of these different things as a means of stemming this for now and for the future.
And John Tory, there's a push for Toronto to have a free, public, tragically hip concert. Is that something you would back or work on?
I would back it. I would encourage private sector sponsors to step up and pay for it. I don't think it's something we should be allocating taxpayers' money to when we're struggling to build transit and housing, but I sure do think it would be a great idea for all the fans to have a chance to pay tribute to Gord Downey, and so I'm sure there are people in the private sector who will step up and back this, and if I can help to sort of round those people up, then I will certainly do so.
John Tory, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
John